Hi, it's Daniel again with the second of my How I Search with Accordance videos. In this video we'll redo the query we did in the first video using a construct search. We will then compare the results we get with those of the search box based query. So let's refresh our memory of the example we have and the properties that we're going to search for. Alright, so here it is, Mark 441, and in particular O animos ke e thalassa ubukui, the compound subject with singular verb. And the properties that we'll use are the distance between the substantives, the fact that the substantives are nouns, that there is a conjunction between the nouns, that being ke, and that the verb is singular. And the two properties that we will set aside are the fact that the substantives are singular and that they are articular. Alright, let's have a look at what this looks like in accordance. And here we have it. On the right hand side here we have the construct search itself. So in particular we have a noun in the nominative, an element of a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction, that is specified to be the lex ke, and followed by another noun in the nominative. So this is our compound subject, and we constrain it to just be within 4 words total length. And then we follow that up with a verb in the singular, and we constrain that to be within 8 words of the initial noun. Alright then, so the constraints here are expressed slightly differently. So we'd said 2 between the noun and the conjunction, and to further 2 between the conjunction and the second noun, and here we're just expressing it as an overall 4 and then an overall 8, whereas previously we expressed it slightly differently. This won't actually make a whole lot of difference, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Alright, so let's examine some of our results then. The results here on the left, the first hit at 619 is the valid hit that we saw before. 917 is still a false positive, but the thing to note here is that asku is highlighted now, which it wasn't before, which is good. Mat 1119 is new and worth a few moments of consideration here. This is a verbless predicate nominative here. Behold, a man is a glutton and a drunkard. But it's highlighted then this verb way out here in a different sentence. This is caused by two things really. One is that the within of 8 allows us to get to edikeothe. So from phagos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, literally on the border. It's right at the very end. And the second thing is that our search scope is verse, not sentence or something else. So as a consequence, it'll bridge the end of the sentence here. We'll look at our way to trim that out. 1231 is valid as it was before. 1250 we see, again, this is another predicate nominative form, but it's highlighting adelphos here properly, which it wasn't previously. Likewise topos here, which was not previously highlighted. Still a false positive, but now we're seeing better, well, what makes more sense kind of highlighting. 1617 is correct, and we go on. 2429 is not correct. We really should exclude verbs like this. It's actually a little difficult to do, but you know, we'll look at ways you can deal with that in the third video. 2435 is correctly highlighted now. This is a valid hit and it's correctly highlighted. So all of that looks good. Alright then. The construct search seems to have improved the highlighting, but it hasn't necessarily, partly because of the way we've expressed the distances. We've seen an additional false positive that we had. What we'd like to do now is compare this result with the result from the search box query and see how you do that kind of comparison and what you can learn from it. So the way the comparison is done is this. You take the hit verses from the first search, the search box query, and you subtract the hit verses from the construct query. And that'll give you the ones that the search box query found that are unique to it. And you can examine those and see whether or not they suggest any changes. Then you'll flip it around and you'll take the hits from the construct query and you'll subtract the search box query hits from that, and you'll see the ones that are unique to the construct query, and you'll see whether or not there are things suggested as modifications to your query as a consequence of that. So let's have a look at that. What I normally do to achieve this is I'll have a pair of tabs. This one here is the search not con, so it's find the search hits from the query box search and then subtract the construct search hits, and then I'll have cons not search. So it's easy to tell these are a matched pair and they're working in opposite directions. So if we go and have a look at search not cons, it's using the contents command, which takes the hit verses rather than the hit words, which you would get if you used hits, and subtracts the verses from the query cons. And then I just link it back to the search box query itself just to get the highlighting back. Now, if you have a look at these, you'll see a variety of strange things, but none of these are valid hits. So what this first off says is that the construct query was right to ignore, to not return these hits. And you see some of the sort of slight strangeness that we get with the queries that we were getting from the search box. I mean, Simon Peter is just one name, it's not a compound, doesn't even have a conjunction here, and so on. And you can go through these hits and they're just not right. So the construct search was definitely right to ignore these. Alright, so let's look at it the other way around. Here we do contents query cons, which is the construct query search result, not the query search box results, and that will give us the hits unique to the construct query. And then I hand it back to the actual construct query itself just to get some highlighting that'll help us just quickly read them. Now, we've already reviewed a few of these first ones, and we have seen that there are a number of false hits here. So 1119, definitely incorrect. We'll figure out how to try to weed that one out. The two Marys here, their verb is actually this plural verb, not this singular one. Again, this suggests that within 8 is just plain too many. So if this is the first hit, the first noun, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we may be able to weed those two out just by reducing this a little bit. Then we see other hits down here that have been brought in, which might be a little trickier to remove by this technique. So we'll have a look at what we can do. But there are basically 19 hit verses here, and we would certainly like to reduce that a good deal. Okay, so the first thing I think that we would do here is we would reduce the within 8 to, say, within 6. Alright? Now when I rerun that, we would hope to see Matt, I'll come back here and we'll run the differences again. Okay, so just by doing this, we've now reduced the number of extraneous hits probably from 19 to 5. And we've definitely got rid of the Edicathe case and the two Marys case. Both of those cases have now been removed from the hits by constraining this within here. And with no loss of the valid hits that we've had before. However, it hasn't solved all the problems. we still have the wineskins and the wine. And this one you are really not going to easily be able to get rid of. And the reason I say that is this verb is abutted directly to the second noun. So you haven't got any room. I mean, you'd have to reduce it to the point where you couldn't even have a verb in the construction. So this one will always be here with this kind of an attempt at the construction. Rather likewise, so will this one with the predicate nominative, because again, the verb is right here. Now you could do a couple of things that might be a little more sneaky in an effort to get rid of this, like try and exclude stative verbs, for example, and that would get rid of it. But we'll have a look at this in the search using the syntax search. And you will also have trouble with things like an intervening verb in the middle here. We've got one noun followed by a verb, followed by care, followed by a noun, followed by the singular verb. So this one will also be rather hard to remove from here. All right then. So the key points to take away here are that the construct search will give you more accurate highlighting in cases of this type than the search box query with the multiple followed by withins. The within distance is very important. You do want to get that as close to accurate as you can. It will definitely help you weed out a lot of false positives. The comparison of the results, which was really what I wanted to show here, is very important for cross-checking. Just, did I get these things right? And sometimes I'll do that for different reasons. Here we're comparing search techniques, but sometimes I'll do it because I'm comparing results that I'm getting from two different Greek New Testaments or something of that type. So you want to be able to compare them back and forth so that you can see, you know, what you get back. And sometimes that can indicate, as it did here, more clearly what you need to tweak in your search. All right, we'll come back in the third video and look at the benefits of using the syntax search and compare the results once again between, you know, the existing search results that we've got and the syntax search. Thanks for watching.